Here to keep the chase going, share information, spread unity, preserve our heritage and our culture. We're trying to achieve something that you just can't catch. We're always trying to find a better way, trying to make better dogs. That's what Dixie Doggers Podcast is. That's who we are.
This episode is brought to you by Rankin Ranch 38 Cattle Company. Marc Rankin specializes in Brahma and Brahma Cross cattle in Oglethorpe County, Georgia. You can contact him at 407-832-2077. 407-832-2077. This episode is also brought to you by Phil Wilson of UC Hunting Properties. If you're buying or selling land, farms, or hunting property, these folks know land. You can contact him at 678-791-3483, 678-791-3483, or visit his website down below in the description.
All right, everybody. This is round number 2 down here. We are back downtown at the dog pound. Finally get some of this shit done, this shit put together, where we can do this shit that y'all like to hear us talking all this shit about, a bunch of shit about dogs and dog shit. Well, I got a guy that knows his shit on the horn tonight. He's full of shit. He's been around a lot of shit. Sometimes he smells like roses, though. And
I mean,
he's my buddy.
Go either way.
This is Andrew Stadnik. He is the man, the myth, the legend, the bro with the mustache that also had me wear fucking silkies at the terrier trials. Him and Tyler Sladen and all them guys. Yeah, thanks a lot.
Yeah. What's up, world?
How you doing, man?
Doing good, man. Busy, tired. Life's good. A lot of good stuff going on.
If you're busy and tired, that means you're living.
You know, the saying that really gets to me right now is if the devil can't make you bad, he can make you busy.
Yeah. Yeah. Damn.
I feel that.
Yeah, man. So now, what we normally do in this whole scenario deal here, you know, is we introduce everybody and we let you tell let you tell the world, because man, like we're in a lot of different countries now. This thing's grown. It's grown a lot. We got a lot of listeners and it's growing more and more. So it's, it's really become,
cool.
It's pretty cool. Especially from somebody like me who I wouldn't even discuss dogs with people 10 years ago. I was like, fuck you, I ain't helping you do your own shit and I do mine, And now I see that there's so much more out there, especially when it's got your generation, you guys like yourself who really put forth a lot of time, work, and effort into these dogs. And it doesn't matter what breed of dog it is or anything or what you do with it. It's the love and the joy that you put in there. And the pain and the sweat and the tears that go with it. So tell the world out there who you are. Give us a little background on how you got into the dogs and what you do and what breed of dogs, and we'll just go from there with it, Andrew.
Sure thing. My name is Andrew Stadnik. I run a couple terriers. I own a nuisance wildlife control business, and I think the thing that catches most people's eyes is that I use my dogs professionally in nuisance wildlife control. I've been asked to present the National Wildlife Control Operators Association. It's been my 3rd year in a row on terriers and wildlife control. It's like the meme where you have, what my mom thinks I does, what my friends think I do, what my peers think I do, and it's all different. And then there's what I actually do. A lot of my business is doing home repairs to prevent wildlife from coming in and out. We operate out of St. Louis, Missouri, and people call us, have an animal in the attic or in the house, and we go out there, do an inspection, figure out where they're getting in, other weak points, do repairs, get the animals out, keep them out long term. And sometimes in that mix, we use dogs. Sometimes the animals come into the living space, and kind of a gray area that we dance on. We focus on prioritizing human health and safety.
Yeah.
Situations where, there's a raccoon and you walk in through the front door. And I remember doing it without dogs. We just have to be there for hours looking for this animal, being like, where the heck is this thing?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, heck, I'm going to put my dog in here and see if my dog can find it. And it just happened so flawlessly, so quickly, and so naturally and instinctual. And it quickly realized it was a very, very useful tool. I mean, I've even done it in commercial food processing plants where they have to shut down production.
Wow.
It's and their options are either hire somebody to come look for it, set a trap, and wait for the animal to be caught. And, you know, they have to stop production until that animal's out of there.
Yeah.
Or come in and use a dog and find it in a short time. There's nothing that replicates a dog's nose, but you guys all know that.
That's right.
It's fun because, like, I'm used to talking to a different audience. It's not all dog people. So I feel a little bit on the spot, but it's good stuff. You know, I think dog people in general would really enjoy doing what I do, and I'll throw this out there if anyone's interested. You know, I can point you in the direction of where to get started and learn some stuff with that. But enough about what I do for a living. I actually grew up in New England, south of Boston, a little ways. I didn't grow up hunting. Nobody in my family hunted. My grandfather was an animal control officer, so I got some cool stories from him growing up. And then when I rode my motorcycle cross country, I stopped and hung out with my friend Tyler Sladen.
Mm-hmm.
You guys know him.
Oh, yeah.
And worked with him for a little bit. The owner of that company let me work to make some money for the road and made me a real good offer, best offer I had at that point. And I had some more living to do and asked if it would stand for a while, and took off and came back a year later, and the rest is history.
Hell yeah.
But
that's cool. I mean, you know, I guess I'm lucky. I get to know a lot of the story from talking with you personally, you know, and it's one of those deals. It's like the nostalgia of, you know, I can just picture you riding your motorcycle around and, you know, just kick back. You're just living life. And then all of a sudden now you got these damn dogs. These little demon dogs. Yeah. It just ruined your life.
I came out here. I built a tiny home to live out of when I came out here to start working full time. The day I showed up, Tyler gave me a Decker Rat Terrier. Her name was June.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that dog changed my life.
Yeah.
Watching her turn on to hunt, I think she actually got me into hunting more than I got her into hunting.
That's the way it works. Is it still picking?
You know, seeing them flip that switch. It's
oh yeah. Hear me all right? Yeah, are you on speakerphone?
No, I got my AirPods in.
Oh.
I figured that would be better.
I don't know. It's just like it's every now and then it'll get a little softer.
Okay.
Kind of going in and out. I didn't know. A lot of times if you're on speakerphone, it'll do that bad, but it's not bad.
Okay.
You know, so I didn't know. That's why I was asking Nate, could he hear it on his side? So we had some issues this morning, or whatever. It was this morning when he uploaded the last episode, and something happened to one of the audio files. It kept jacking up. I don't know.
I had good luck with it.
Bunch of junk.
Yeah.
Bunch of junk.
Technology is great till it don't work.
Bullshit.
Then it's the biggest piece of crap ever.
Yep, exactly what it is. So, but anyway, so you got the Rat Terrier, and like you said, I think that happens to a lot of people is the dogs actually start you. They train you more than you train the dog.
Man, the United Blood Trackers have a good phrase for it when they see that young dog turn on. They call it when the magic happens.
Yeah.
And like falconry has its own term. Like when a bird is, you know, in the zone, ready to hunt, they call it yarrick. Mm-hmm. And there's just something so special about that moment. And then getting out there and working as a team and whatever it is. I mean, I started chasing rabbits, chasing squirrels, then it translated into getting raccoons. And this past weekend, I went out and ran dogs with Boogie and D, and we got a hog. That was pretty fun. That was my first time doing that.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, and you did it with some damn good guys there too. Well, I say that Boogie's great. D, you know, I'm just like shit. D, that's my damn partner right there. And that's what sucks when I didn't go to the trials, man. I don't get to see everybody. Shit.
Yeah. D opened up his doors to me and a couple other people. I was selfish. I got to ride in the truck with Boogie alone
Oh
up to that field, the property we were running.
Hell
And
yeah.
man, it is so cool just like sit in the truck with somebody who's way older than you and just talk to him. He could hardly hear me. I had to holler the whole time.
Yeah.
But I find myself listening to older men just talk because like I need to shut up and just listen to what they're saying because little bits here and there are so valuable.
Oh, without a doubt. There was a young man last night. I think it was last night or this morning. One. He messaged us and he said, okay. He said, here it goes. He said, I listen to all your podcasts and stuff. He said, you guys are always inviting people to hunt. He said, so I want to come hunt with you. I said, okay. And he lives in Alabama and he lives in Union Springs. But he told me, well, my dad's 81 years old. And I was like, bro, that enough said right there. He said his dad had been hunting hogs, 40, 50 years, however long it was. And I was like, he can come hunt all he wants. Nathan and them can go hunt. I want to sit and talk with his dad all weekend.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's the thing that we're missing so much of. There's all the old guys are, and I'm becoming one of the old guys, and I don't feel like it. I really don't. In my mind, I still feel like I'm young, and I look at a guy that's, 20 years older than me. He's an old timer, even though he's not. He's just 20 years older than me. But there's a lot of young guys that want to sit and talk with me, and I can remember all the days that I used to sit and listen to these old men, and I would sit and talk to them. They would tell me these stories, and they'd tell me how much I was messing up, and I thought I knew more than they did, and blah, blah, all that bullshit. And I wish I could get all those days back, man.
Yeah.
But they're coming few and far between. So if you get a chance to listen to an old guy, definitely do.
Anyone that's just doing it too. I mean,
yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be an older person, but
I'm so grateful I get to travel all over the place and do dog stuff and go to these different work events everywhere, meet up with different dog people. Every section of the country is different. Like we have just the states, like Texas is its own country in itself.
Yeah.
Indiana, like up where my buddy Nick Fox lives, totally different world up there. And everyone runs dogs differently. We have different game, different soil, different geography. It's we're all doing the same thing but different languages.
Yeah. That's that, where it's kind of, I like to make the comparison to it in a way. It's like kind of like the NFL where, we're all in the NFL, but there's a bunch of different teams. You got your coon hunters, your hog hunters, your bird hunters. And that's why me and Nate, and not just us, but a lot of us, we're always preaching that, like, hey, we're all on the same team here. To other guys that are running dogs. I mean, we might not be chasing the same game, but like we're all running dogs, and we need to look out for each other and pay attention to what we're doing, because you can never tell. It can be stripped away from you.
Absolutely. And that's I think that's more than just dogmen too. I think that goes to all outdoorsmen, trappers, deer hunters, everything. Need to all be on the same page. We can bump elbows, but when it comes down to it.
We'll be back after a quick break.
And now, thanks to the sponsors and friends of Dixie Doggers. Animal Housing Solutions.
Boars N Broads.
Crockett Taxidermy.
Hardcore Hog Dogs.
Southern Cross Cut Gear.
Ada Y Transport.
4L Kennels.
The American Doghorn Museum.
Unique Hounding Hunting Supply.
Hogbaying.com.
Tuskers Magazine.
Mud Creek Hog Dog Trials.
No, I agree. You can't, everybody's not going to agree on everything all the time. But like you said, it doesn't do any good for us to be fighting amongst ourselves when you're just a hunter in general.
Yeah.
Like you said, whether you're sitting on a deer stand or whether you're running a bear hound or whether you're digging to a groundhog. If somebody says, hey, we don't want you to hunt anymore, and it becomes an issue, well, then it hurts everybody.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it's going in the right direction. I see a lot more unity now than I have in the past 20 years. I see a lot of the younger generations. I mean, of course, they're always arguing and talking shit back and forth, but at the same time, they're hunting together a lot. Like what you were talking about. You go to all these different places to hunt. We travel. Tyler Slade, which I mean, we can go on with a list of all the people that we know between us. But that's what holds it together is guys like that are making the moves to go do that and that are opening their doors like D and Boogie says, hey guys, come on to my house. Y'all come hunt with us.
I've had the opportunity to take a couple colleagues out who are in the wildlife control industry. And I always tell them, I say, hey man, like, I don't even want to see my dogs hunt, but like, I don't want to give you false expectations either. So just think of this as we're going out in the woods for a walk. Yeah. That's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it is so cool to see these like nuisance wildlife guys get so fired up. They're like, oh my God, that's the coolest thing I ever seen. Like, no wonder you love this. You just had no idea, and I'm sure it'd be the same thing with a lot of people who go out and deer hunt, turkey hunt, whatever. Mm-hmm. Like they just had the opportunity to be like, hey, can I come along? Or had the courage to just ask if there was a little bit of interest. Hey, I want to go do that. Can I come with you sometime?
Mm-hmm. It would be great. We've got to do that, honestly. We've got to take people that do not dog hunt any type, form, or fashion, and they're still hunters. And then when they go with us, they're like, oh my God. They're like, dude, that is, first off, they get a whole new look on the dogs. And like Nick Upton is the guy, for example. Nick doesn't really run dogs. I mean, he's coon hunted and stuff like that in the past. He's rabbit hunted and all that. And he's had dogs, but he's not like he doesn't run dogs 5 days a week. Yeah. And he still hunts a lot. And we actually got called to take care of a property that he hunts on. Well, Nick went on his first hog hunt with dogs with us years ago. And when we got, when I talked to him, he was like, I told him, I said, well, Nick, we'll hold off till after deer, after bow season. He's like, dude, I don't care. He said, I know what them dogs ain't going to hurt nothing. He said, I know what they do. He's like, y'all just go in there and handle your business. And so it opens their eyes. Yeah. It makes our job easier.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can get something done.
Tell a lot of the wildlife control guys, I got to make it clear, like, listen, I love my dogs. Like, I'm busy. Like, I don't even sit on the couch, but I'm intentional. I spend 1 day a week, if I'm home, to have my dogs come in and sit on the couch with me. They sleep inside in crates and stuff like that, but I've just been so busy. I haven't had time to love on them. And so I'm intentional about it. And I tell these guys that because a lot of people, especially where I grew up, they have this whole idea of, what a working dog is. And it's out on a chain all day. Nobody cares about it, this and that. Like, that's not what it is, man. No. Like, like setting these dogs up for success, like doing what they were bred to do when they have that genetic disposition to chase quarry, you're giving that dog everything it wants by bringing it out hunting.
Yes. Like you were
talking, you don't know until you do it.
Yeah, exactly. You have to get off your ass and do it. And like you were talking about dogs, being out on chains. We got dogs out on chains. We got them in kennels. We got dogs in the house, and we rotate them. When they're puppies, we let them just be puppies. And I speak for probably 90% of people that run dogs. I'm like, this is how a lot of it goes. And I've been around a lot of people that do it. And then there's a lot of folks. There's another portion of them that, like you said, they stay in the house. You might have 3, 4, 5 dogs, 6 dogs, whatever. generally when you have a big pack of dogs or a couple of packs of dogs, of course I can't keep all mine in the house. Hell, I got 30, 40 dogs, but we run. I've had people, they're like, well, there's no way that I could have that many dogs and work them. And I was like, well, how often do you hunt? They're like, oh, we go, all that we can. I was like, well, if we're not hunting, we're training. Yeah. And if we're not training, we're working the dogs.
Yeah.
It's every day. So they're going to get it, they're going to get their reps in.
Yeah.
And it's simply because that's our lifestyle. Like your lifestyle, you work and you have your dogs. That's your job.
Yeah.
So those dogs get your full attention, but it's at work. And like you said, there's also that time where you just want to let them hang out and just be your buddy.
Well, like I was saying earlier with, your buddy Nick there is like, I've seen your dogs, like get them out. I don't care. It's deer season. It's another tool in the toolbox to manage wildlife. And that's what I tell a lot of the wildlife control guys. I prep them with, like, I love these dogs, but they're tools. Like, these dogs work and they get treated well and they treat me well and they work very well, better than it's a tool I have in my toolbox that a lot of other wildlife control guys don't have in their toolbox. And on the bright side of things, I mean, it's all good stuff, but I don't know why I said on the bright side of things, but the really nice part of that is that I get to experience is when we go in and get a raccoon out of somebody's house or a squirrel or whatever it may be, that they were, city folk, they're terrified of it. I'm right in the heart of St. Louis. Yeah. Somebody calls up, they're freaking out when there's a raccoon inside their house, like in their living space. And I used to experience it like going in and finding it, catch pulling it in an easy circumstance. Catch pulls a tool and they treat me like I'm a hero. Like, oh my God, thank you so much. I don't know how you did that. You're so brave, this and that. Like, no, it's just another day in the life, really. It's just a raccoon to me. I don't care. But when the dogs go in and get that, and then you have these people being like, wow, that dog is so cool. How did you train it to do that? Like, see it, like, I have the absolute pleasure of showing people working dogs who would never in their life dream of seeing working dogs when they need them most. And it is so cool. And I'm so grateful for it. And, I try to do that very responsibly when I'm talking about it to other people. Like, I'm not just highlighting like, hey, dogs are the best tool in the toolbox, because there's a lot of things you got to watch out for too.
Well, when I first talked with Tyler Sladen, he was telling me about, I think it was you and him both. Yeah, we were all talking. Yeah. And he was talking about sending, was it mouse down the chimney? And I was like, what? Now, I've done a lot of shit with dogs now, a lot. But I was like, what? Like in town? He was like, yeah. I was like, you got to be kidding. And like you said, the reward, you're reaching a group of people that we would never reach, ever. Yeah. You're reaching the fur mommies and the fur daddies that hold their pets in a higher regard than they do most people. And there's nothing wrong with loving your animals. Nothing wrong with it, but they are tools.
I love it, man. I think it has a lot of power to shift the public perspective of working dogs.
Yes. That's what you're doing.
I don't want to, gatekeeping has such a negative connotation on it. Like, I want everyone to do it, but I'm very careful about how I talk about it and, making sure that if you're going to do it, you're going to do it right and not experience a lot of the hiccups or some of the bad PR that can go along with it. I had this one guy call me. This is probably 2 years ago, right around this time 2 years ago. I think there's a video of it on my Instagram. He had called 11 other companies in the area, and nobody said they could do it. And like, he was the property owner. He had tenants moving in that day. And when they went to open the door, the attic fan was busted into the hallway. There was blood and shit everywhere.
Oh, God.
And so this guy calls me. He says, hey, there's a raccoon in my basement. Like, I know where it is. I'm like, where is it? He says, it's in the floor joists between the finished portion of the basement and the first floor. And he says, I called 11 other companies. Everybody says they have to set traps. I got tenants waiting to move in. Like, I'm going to have to put them in a hotel. They're going to have to pay more for their moving truck. And I said, yep, I'll be right there. And I said, I can get that taken care of. I go over there. I talk to them. I prep them for what's about to happen. I say, you guys may want to just stand outside while we do this. And in the video, it's pretty cool. I actually use it in some of my presentations to show like how much the dogs love doing this. Because I just open the crates in the back of the truck. They jump out and they know what they're doing. They go straight for the open door into the house. Like they go right to the back door. They go right downstairs. They start sniffing around, and I'll point out the body language in my presentations to other wildlife control operators. Be like, look at my dog here. You see how it has its nose on the ground? It's sniffing, it's circling, it's working its way. And you see the dog stand up between some studs and just look straight up. I'm like, that right there is the dog marking the cavity that raccoon is in. And then they climb up the ladder themselves. And, you know, I have a video looking in that joist bay. You can see the cross member that the dogs have a hard time getting by, but the raccoons squeeze right by it. So one dog goes up there, my old Yog Terrier Badger. She's up there. June climbs up to investigate. So I have 2 dogs in there. Call June out. Badger's in there, keeping them in one spot. You know, she's keeping them on the far side of that joist cavity. So I eyeball it. I go into the finished ceiling, cut a nice square hole with June, my Decker Rat Terrier, right by my feet. Cut that hole. I pull one out. There was freaking 2 raccoons in there, so I didn't have time to dispatch it quickly. June takes care of the first one. She's holding on to it. I end up using my cat grabbers, pulling the other raccoon out, scruffing Badger, my Yog Terrier, out of there, and, you know, taking it from there. Having 2 at the same time, man, you talk about buck fever when people start shaking. This raccoon was big for St. Louis. It ended up being about 28 pounds on the scale.
Holy shit.
But there were 2 of them. And, you know, I'm doing some thoracic compression, just waiting for, you know, lights to go out on the raccoon. And I'm just shaking like buck fever. And I've handled so many raccoons in my life, but just the fact that there were 2 and the way that all happened, I loved it. It was crazy. And I'm singing high praises. Good dogs, good dogs, good dogs. Yeah, good dog. I go crazy when I'm praising my dogs, try to match their energy.
Oh, yeah.
And so I, you know, have the 2 raccoons under control. And I phrase it like that specifically for intentionally that way. I have the 2 raccoons under control. I take my 2 dogs outside, I scruff them both, I go put them in the truck, clean up what I did, and the property owners are outside. They look like they saw a ghost. They're like, oh my God, is everything okay? I'm like, yeah, no, we got it all taken care of. There was actually 2 up there. They're like, no, like, what were you saying oh God about? They thought I was screaming, oh God, like thought I was in distress. And so I always prep people. I'm like, listen, you might hear some things. Like, I assure you, we have this under control. Like, the dogs make some crazy noises. I didn't know that, you know, I had to prep them for the noises I'd be making too.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's a good one there. Oh man. But 2 coons, that's a double handful for sure. And just look at all the issues and the problems that you saved. You know what I mean? Like, that saved that homeowner, you know, from having to put them in motels for a couple of days and all that shit.
They had the moving truck all loaded up. They'd have to hold up the moving truck a couple days.
Yeah, I mean, of course.
There was a lot to that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I mean, of course, whatever your fee is was nowhere near what they would have spent doing the other way.
Oh, I take that into consideration. I think about that. I'm quick.
Yeah. Well, you have to. You have to.
I have to justify it too, because it pulled me away from a job where, like, I was working on a job with my 2 other guys where we're profiting X amount of dollars. Me leaving the job was like 20 minutes away. I sell it for 1 hour of search and removal. So I have to, you know, account for 2 hours of me being away from another job. And I've explained that to people sometimes. They're like, man, your prices are high. I'm like, well, this is why.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, you know what? That actually makes a lot of sense. Come on by, or we're going to keep shopping around. It don't hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
But, in retrospect, too, like, there's all the glory with using the dogs. Doesn't mean the dogs are the best tool for the job every single time in what I do. There's a lot of other. I feel like I have to say that because I have a lot of people who come up to me at these expos and events that I'm presenting at that, like, they just have their eye on the prize, having a dog. Oh my God, that must be so cool. I have to emphasize, like, dogs are not the end all be all. Like, there are a lot of tools in a lot of circumstances where other tools are going to be way more beneficial than putting a dog in there.
Yeah. No, I get that part. And I know exactly where you're coming from, because it's so easy to get caught up in, like you said, of just having that dog, and everything's just going to be so cool and so easy to do because you got a dog. And that's not necessarily the truth all the time,
Yeah.
But definitely on the part about charging, man, for a long time, I got to where I was doing a lot of little quick calls in the construction field, and I'd have people call me, and man, I would take my Saturday morning and I would go install a storm door or hang a couple ceiling fans, or whatever. And so I'd find myself where it was really about an hour to 2 hours worth of work, but then my driving and all that. So I just started with a 4 hour minimum, no matter what.
Yeah.
If I'm there for 30 minutes, it's a 4 hour minimum. And I had one guy, he was like, well, I only needed you to do this for like 30 minutes. I was like, well, you got 3.5 hours left. He was like, what do you mean? I was like, you can find all the stuff that you can fit in that 4 hours and I'll work. I said, but you have to understand, if I have to leave what I'm doing from getting paid over here at this job, and then I have to come over here and drive for 30 minutes or an hour or whatever, and then I got to drive home. I said, I've ate up a half a day. You got to get paid what you do, And so I think you're definitely on the right deal with that part. There's too many folks out there that they'll do it for free just so they can let their dogs work.
Yeah.
And I've done that. I've done that when there was nobody around that was working dogs and there was no places to do it. I'd be like, yeah, man, I'll come do it. And then, man, after a little while, it's like, dude, this costs a lot of money just to do it for whatever,
Yeah.
Eats up a lot of time and money. So how long have you been doing this as a business now, Andrew?
So I've been in the wildlife control business, nuisance wildlife control business for 10 years now. Been running dogs for about the same amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe a year or two, year less than that, because, And I did construction, carpentry before coming out and starting this, and all that construction experience really, really benefited me as an individual and the company that I worked for when I first started. Because, I mean, just in the short time I've been in the industry, I've watched it go from guys setting baited traps for squirrels to like what I do now. Like, I don't even use bait and traps. I'm not trying to catch all the neighborhood animals. I'm doing repairs on the home because that's where the profit margins are at.
Yeah.
I'm fixing the problem long term rather than just a temporary solution of just trapping out a couple squirrels here and there.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to see how much of a shift there's been in the industry alone, just in the short time that I've been in it.
So a lot of it's more along the lines of preventative maintenance.
Yeah.
I guess you'd
well,
say.
not even maintenance, just repairs.
Just prevention. Because like on overhangs and eaves and, and gable ends and stuff like that, you got any kind of vents, attic fans, or if your soffit doesn't go all the way against the roof, man, it doesn't take a very big place for a squirrel or a coon to get their head in.
And even if there's just a little void, like a squirrel can reach its hand into and feel it's hollow,
mm-hmm.
They'll chew their way in if it's not the right material.
Oh, yeah.
They'll chew right through aluminum. a lot of the probably the most common areas that we're addressing for animal entries on structures, I'll say for squirrels and raccoons, a lot of drip edge, loose soffit panels, soffit returns, roof vents, ridge vents, gable vents. Those are probably our most common entry points. Now we get down to like bats and mice, which I mean, bats and mice take a very, very specific attention to detail to take care of, and bats especially, because they're a lot of species are of special concern. Man, we're doing crack and crevice around the entire perimeter of the house, anywhere the soffit meets the brick, any construction gaps, and whether we're using different types of sealants or custom bending perforated steel to form flash it so it still breathes. All my trucks have siding brakes on them, and it's just talking about it. It's like, man, come a long way. This is crazy, and I've only been doing it for 10 years.
Yeah, we went to a trappers convention, and what was that guy's name that was up here, Nate? We talked to Ronnie. Anyway, he done like a little seminar, and that's what he was talking about how much it's changed over the years. And I mean, like, he's got quite a few trucks, several. I don't remember exactly how many he said. It was a lot. It has a really big company, but that's what he was talking about. He's like, the biggest thing is everybody thinks it's about just catching these animals. He said it's more about a lot of repairs and home and construction work. He said that's what most of it is. He said so before you just jump in it, he said you need to make sure that you look at the whole picture. I was like, well, that's something at the time I didn't realize how much was really involved in it. I mean, we've done some little calls ourselves, but nothing like that. We deal more with, maybe catching some coyotes or mainly catching wild hogs or something like that. It's a totally different deal.
Yeah.
Totally different kind of thing. And even on that right there, man, for so long, I mean, even myself, I'd be like, yeah, man, I'll catch those hogs for you. Let me hunt the property or we'll work it out. We'll do that. Man, you can't do that. You got to charge.
Well, I mean,
it's a job.
There's so many different areas of nuisance wildlife control. You have structural damage, you have agricultural damage, you have livestock damage. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like this guy was like a fur trapper back in the day, and he got into nuisance wildlife control.
Yeah. What was it? What's his last name?
I'm trying to.
I cannot think.
Ronnie Vincent.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's from Kentucky.
Yeah. He's got a big. And now this has been quite a few years ago, but like he had several trucks. He had a big fleet, so. But
I imagine I probably know somebody who knows him aside from you guys.
Yeah. Now he was real big in the fur trapping industry, like coyotes, bobcats, and stuff like that, and doing that side of removal at first. He said his is bats. He said that's where he said he does a lot. He said he does a lot of bat removal, and he said that's where most of his income comes in.
So this is the thing, the whole passion project I've been working on, and this is going to tie in real well with Ronnie Vincent. Just the little bit of his story, the little bit of perspective that I got from that is he went from being a fur trapper to having a successful business working with wildlife.
Yes.
All right. I look at how trappers have evolved over the years, and I don't see it out of the realm of reality for that to happen to dogmen as well.
Yeah.
And it fires me up. I get so excited.
Oh yeah.
Because I mean, there is no machine that can replicate what a dog's nose can do. And the people behind the dogs, everyone that's listening, you're all special. And I mean that, not just like making fun of you. Like, we're all special people. Being able to read that dog's body language and set them up for success.
Yep.
It is truly amazing. And it may not be appreciated by a large majority of the population, but I do see the potential for that to shift in the coming years.
I think it is. It's becoming more. I don't know. It's almost like it's more accepted in a lot of areas now. Because used to, you know, of course, everybody had, especially in the Southeast where we live at, everybody had an old coon dog or just a yard dog or a cow dog or whatever. And so it wasn't, you know, everybody was used to people having dogs. And then it went through this shift to where nobody wanted hunting dogs on their properties. We had a lot of people coming from bigger cities buying up all the properties and leasing them out and doing all this. And well, now those people are the ones calling us. They're like, hey, we have this feral hog problem or coyote problem or coon problems, whatever. And first thing we're like, yeah, we'll trap it, but we also use our dogs. And I've had them, they're like, well, why would you need a dog? I was like, well, if you get a big boar hog who is trap shy or has been trapped in the past or been in a trap or whatever, and he's smart, I'm going to catch him with a dog. And they're like, well, we can just sit up and shoot him. I was like, well, how come you haven't already done that? And you don't see the look on their face. Like, if it was that easy, wouldn't you have already done it? Yeah. You know? And so I'm like, so when we go in there and we trap all the dummies, we'll trap them out first. And then you got those 1 or 2 or 3 smart ones. I just turn them old cur dogs and them jags and them hides loose, and we go to stretch and hide. And
I got to come down there and run with you guys, man. I would have such a ball running down there with you.
Oh yeah.
You guys are explaining the geography down there. I have a lot of haulers and stuff like that. Man, I just got to get down there.
It's fun. We get every now and then we get in some really shitty situations. Man, we have been so blessed and so lucky.
We spend a lot of time learning our properties, though.
Oh yeah, like we're always on the properties. Like if a dog cuts across or a hog goes one way, I'm like, well, there's one little ledge they can get down on, and we got to drive 5 miles the other way, or I can go right over here and slide right down this hill because I know where I'm at. You know what I mean? So I'm putting in my homework. Miles Reggio came and hunted with us, and like the layout.
I was hoping you would bring this up because I remember the picture, and I hope that's the story you're about to share. Because I love that picture.
Did you see that video?
Or the video? Yeah.
Dude, that was a bad spot. But I tell you what, for Miles, for him being the first time, which we had done killed several hogs that weekend. I mean, like it'd been all weekend.
Yeah.
We had a good time. We were in a little dried up cornfield. The hog literally was 100 yards or less from us at any point in time, and we never knew it.
It almost ran you over.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He was 100 yards or less at any point in time. We never knew it. So we turned and we started walking, going back to the truck. And Nate's dog, M&M, the wind shifted just a little bit, and he turned his head. I said, he's here somewhere. And about that time, I could hear the corn breaking, and I heard him bark. And there was a girl that went hunting with us that night. And what's her name? Alicia Stevens? Alicia?
Yeah, Alicia.
And she was like right beside me. And I was like, you better move. Here he comes. She was like, what? I was like, here he comes. And that son of a bitch turned around, and it was running right through me. Look, she's trying to get behind me. I'm trying to push her. I'm pushing her ass out in front of me. Like, chivalry is dead over here. Y'all motherfuckers wanting equal rights. Here you go, goddamn. Here you go. You get it. Well, like, so they take off running. Everybody starts to take off running. I'm like, no, don't. Stop. I said, fucking stop. Well, the dogs are down there. I said, stop. And we get to the edge, and it's literally a 60 to 80 foot drop straight down, sheer wall. And I'm like, well, there's probably dogs that are messed up. I don't know. So we don't see the hog, but I do see 2 dogs running back and forth on the creek. I said, well, they got him under the bluff. So we go around and we come in there. I can't find the hog. I'm like, where's the fucking hog? The dogs are down there barking. And Nate shines his light, points, and the video does no justice. It's like literally 30 foot above us. It's like we treat a coon that was 250 pounds.
Oh my God.
Nate looked up. He's like, well, he's up there. I looked up. I said, holy shit. And Eminem was in there baying the hell out of him.
Mm-hmm.
So we go down to where we can climb up and we start throwing dogs up above us. We got like his chain gang going. I get a dog, hand it to Miles. Miles hands it to Nate, so forth. Then we get up there, and
once they get it called,
yeah, we let him get in there and catch. So we're going in this. It looked bigger than I thought. Yeah, it really looked bigger. I'm on all fours. I'm fucking fat. It's hard to move when you're fat and you can't breathe. And Miles's ass is 9 foot tall, so he's all bowed up in there. I mean, literally, we were in a tight spot.
Yeah.
But
you were not at home field advantage. That hog was.
Exactly. But the dogs did their job. And
yeah.
I told Miles he was getting slammed up against the top of the bluff against the roof. And I pulled the K-bar, stuck the hog. And when I stuck the hog, I pulled the knife back and I flipped it back and I turned the sharp edge of the blade to the inside of my arm and pointed it towards me. And that I was telling Miles, I said, be careful. I said, he's going to get back up. And because I turned that knife around, because I didn't want to hit him and the dogs, myself. If anybody gets hurt, it's going to be me.
Here you are saying chivalry is dead. That changed real quick.
Listen, that man grabbed it. He pushed me out of the way to get in there first.
He said, what do I need to do? I said, match the dog's energy. Fucking get in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like you cannot, there's no time to even make decisions. Yeah. You just have to react. And he did his job. Like without a doubt, dogs did their job. We got it done. When it was said and done, I literally turned around. I got another video. I'll send this one to you privately. And I turned around and I shined the light down and my feet are hanging off the fucking bluff. Like, that's where I was at when it stopped.
Yeah, in the video I put on YouTube, like when I'm walking in, you can see it's only like a 2 foot wide ledge. It is funny
because I get it 2 foot wide.
I get in there and I get leaned up and I'm like, man, Miles has got that pig. And I was like, damn, he looks tough right now. I was like, I guarantee. I was like, boy, he looks tough.
It was a train wreck. I'm talking about it worked out great.
Yeah.
For the scenario. Now we've been in a couple of other spots. I got in one spot that was just down the holler from there on a hog that was way bigger than that. One, me and Dylan went in there and waited. You was with us that night, Dylan Shepherd.
Yeah, I think so.
Killed that one. And but it was just mud and it was fucking knee deep, just slop.
Nasty.
You couldn't hold the hog. Every time you grab him, he would just kick loose. And we stabbed him. I just stabbed that motherfucker in the face and the neck and the head, wherever. I just killed him.
Yeah.
That's what we do. That kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to go with us?
Yes.
Yes.
My guy,
yes.
Come on with it. I've been trying to get Tyler Sladen to come out. He's scared, though. He's scared. Hey, that motherfucker be driving that Chevrolet down here as soon as spring gets here. He's like, what'd you say? No, man, look, he's planning a wedding right now. Cut him some slack. I know. Look, I'm happy, man. I'm so happy for him.
Yes.
That dude right there he's just one of a kind.
He's funny. So he had Falco, his son, at the dog trial. His kid is such a good kid. Man, he's just going around talking to all the adults and making friends with the kids. Man, he had Ed Barnes laughing so hard, like they're over there playing dominoes, and Falco's just like stacking them and dumping them over and making these jokes.
Yeah.
Well, Tyler freaking sent him home covered in mud with a bag of Skittles and some Mountain Dew.
Hell.
Good for you. Good for you, man. Good for you.
Hell yeah.
Best day ever.
Yeah. That's cool.
So, man, good time.
But like getting on this back on these dogs, doing this stuff with, that's how we got that property to hunt, was removing hogs,
Yeah.
and we wound up leasing the hunting club that surrounds it, and we get to hunt the farm and we get to do all that. But it started out as a job.
Yeah.
Turned
So
out
all the
pretty
properties for deer hunting down there is all leases. I'm not familiar with how that works. My understanding is
good. Yeah, most of it.
At least the deer hunting, right?
Yeah, most everything here. I mean, there's public land, but there you have management areas that you can go hunt.
Yeah.
Corps of Engineer land.
We probably have, we're probably in the central of most of the public land in Alabama. Alabama actually has a good bit of public land.
Mm-hmm.
Just not for hog hunting. You can't run hog dogs on it.
Yeah, you can't run hog dogs, which is crazy. But that's why a bunch of my coon dogs, they catch hogs sometimes.
Yeah.
That's just how it works, But no, we'd love to have y'all down here, man. It'd be fun as hell.
I'd love to be down there.
We'll get.
I've been home like 10 days the past 2 months. I don't want to think about traveling anywhere
I can
until
imagine.
after deer season.
Yeah.
I leave Friday morning to drive up to Massachusetts, and I won't be back for another week and a half. I think I get back. What holiday is it? Veterans Day we have this month. I'll be back probably after Veterans Day.
Gotcha.
And I'm looking forward to just turning my brain off and then getting back on the grind after that.
Yeah. Take a little bit of time. Yep. I know exactly what you mean. So when you're doing this stuff with the dog, a lot of times we talk to all these people who handle dogs and stuff. What do you do to train your dogs like that? Is there certain things that you have to do to train them differently than you would in just the woods? I mean, having to deal with homeowners and then the roads and all kinds of shit there.
So it's nice to have a good handle on the dog. My last decker I had, June, I could get her to do backflips just by spinning my finger.
Yeah.
And customers always loved that. I could point my finger and she knew what I wanted her to do. There's a benefit to that, but I've had puppies all year. So I lost 2 dogs last November. Mm-hmm. And this whole year I've had 3 puppies, and it's been like the longest year of my life not having adult dogs. I did have a truck terrier from David Williams. She was a really good dog, but same time, like going through a divorce, I lost my 2 top dogs last fall. I was depressed as hell. And I just couldn't satiate that dog's drive because I was down in the dumps. She ended up going up to another guy in Minnesota, and he loves the hell out of her. She was a really, really, really good dog. But man, this year has been long. And I can't tell you how many times I said it. It's like, I'm sick and tired of puppies. I don't want to look at another puppy for 2 years.
Yeah, we know. I promise you.
And I think my Yog heard me saying that shit. I think they all did. Because, there were a couple times you'd be like, oh, yeah, check this out. And yep. I'm kind of the mindset, I don't want to be putting my dogs on fur until they're about a year old. Because, it can go wrong. I went out and hunted with some Jack Russell Terriers and the woman handlers behind them. And they said, oh, we've had a couple good digs. Why don't you put your puppy on the ground, let her stretch her legs out? She's been in the crate all day. I said, yeah, sure. No big deal. And I think we had one successful dig that morning. It's probably about noontime. So I let her stretch her legs out, and we weren't 30 yards from the truck, and she just dives head first. 8-month-old puppy dives head first into a hole, starts lighting up. And I was like, well, I think there's a groundhog in there. I guess we're going to figure this out. Sure as shit there was. And since then, I was just like, well, she decided she's not a puppy anymore, so I'm going to just let her work holes. She's honest. She's working well, and I'm ready for her to not be a puppy anymore. So if she wants to work, we're working. Hell and you know them Yog Terriers. Oh, yeah. They want to work. So
yeah, if you get one that doesn't want to work, you didn't get one.
Yeah.
You got the wrong fucking dog.
Do not.
Somebody has to something wrong.
you have to really try to not show them fur for a year. If you're out walking them off leash, you have to try hard for them to not find fur.
Yeah. My first pair, I fucked up. I messed up and I let them go. They were about 5.5, 6 months old. And I was like, we're just going to walk to the pond. And I don't know if it's a rabbit, a rat, a chicken. I don't know what happened, but something got up. And 10 days later, I found them.
I've heard this story.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's the one where they ate the dog. So it's like,
yeah.
The neighbor, the old man said, boy, I don't know what the hell them are, but God damn, I want one of them. I said, what do you mean? He said, that little mixed up bulldog over there tried to whoop him. He said, hell, they ate him. I said, God. Yeah,
oh my
but
God.
that's the kind of dogs I love. I like them.
Yeah.
Man, they're just, you don't have to do a whole lot to get them going.
No.
You got to hold them back.
Yeah, that's where the work comes in.
Man, no shit.
I was fucking panicking one night. This account I have right here in the county, I really can't say much about it, but it's a high end account. They have some nice horses. I'll leave it at that. But they pay me per head that my dogs catch down there because Ohio University put out a study recently saying that raccoons also transmit EPDM to horses. So it's not just possums anymore.
Wow.
And I'll shit you not, they have a wildlife rescue center a quarter mile from their house, and they have way too many raccoons on their property, way above carrying capacity. So they like me running my dogs down there. But this year, running puppies, I was like, fuck, I'm going to have to set traps. This sucks.
Yeah.
So I'd go out there with a bunch of dog proofs and, set them. I'd pre-bait them for a week and then set them and monitor them with cameras. Hey, catch a whole bunch of raccoons. Thin out the population. And then check one morning. I'm like, yep, got to go there today. I had a bunch of office stuff to do. I'm working with my assistant. And we're getting some stuff done. I just plan on going there later on. I get over there. It's probably 6 o'clock. I walk down there where the traps are. I'm like, where the hell are these raccoons? It's in a creek, like right next to a creek on a big bluff. At the top of the bluff, there's, an HOA up there. And like, where the hell are these raccoons? I had 3. There's only 1 here now, and I'm looking in the creek. Well, I like to set them so they get caught by both paws. And I set them perfectly upright, and I double paw them all the time. And I look in the creek. There's 1. It couldn't make it through the creek and drowned. Poor sucker, poor thing, whatever. And so I PR, come on. I do this professionally. I feel bad for the thing. I did not intend for that to happen. Let me make that clear. I'm losing my mind because there's a raccoon. I still have 1 unaccounted for, and like by law, my name is on these traps, my company name. So if that raccoon makes it into that HOA with a coon cuff, that is some bad publicity.
Yeah. And
I'm losing my mind. I'm like, what the hell am I going to do? I start tracking it because the creek is like half mud, half rock. And I'm looking at the rocks with the algae rubbed off of it. And I track it up the creek, maybe 40 yards till I just really can't see anything anymore. I'm like, well, this bluff is real steep. It would be hard, but I wouldn't put it past a raccoon for being able to get up there with a coon cuff on it. And I just keep looking around, and there's a shallow bank with some thick brush, and there was a little sandy portion. I'm like, that looks like it dragged a chain through there, like tiny little sandy patch. I'm like, this is the last spot. Like, I need to back out. I have no idea. It's so thick, I could be right on top of it and not know because it's not going to move.
Yeah.
And I'm just losing my mind. Like, what the hell am I going to do? Like, having a panic attack. I ended up calling some of my blood tracking friends. I'm like, any way you can help me? Turns out everyone was out on injury. And they're like, finally I get a hold of one of them. They're like, Andrew, you got a Yog Terrier. Just put your Yog Terrier on him. But it's a puppy, it's just a puppy. She's like, well, those dogs, they turn on quick. You'll be fine. I'm like, all right, you're co-signing my actions. Great. Forgot my dog collar. So I had to drive back to my house, get my dog collars, come all the way back. So another hour later, I have half hour of sunlight left. Cut the dogs loose, and they're all over the scent pool where they were initially trapped. Like, oh, hell yeah. Like, this is it. This is it. This is it. They work down creek. I'm like, all right, you know what? Like, I tracked it up creek, but trust your dogs. You know, I'm going to
Yep.
trust my dogs. They're kind of just fucking around. There might have been something else down there in a tree or whatever. They're just kind of working it. I finally call them. I gave them probably till sunset, about half an hour working down creek until I finally called them up and get them working upstream. And we get to that last spot where I marked it. It had flooded out there real bad this year, so there was a bunch of brush piles of dry, rotted wood. They show a little interest in one. And Moxie was honest at this point. I had dug groundhog to her. So I was like, she's not really saying there's anything in here, but I have to do everything in my power to try to find this raccoon right now. So I pull that brush pile apart. There's nothing in there. And at this point, I'm just leaning up against a tree, smoking a cigarette, just like, what the fuck am I going to do? What the fuck? And the bluff is real steep, you know, and they're still working around, you know, sniffing, and they're puppies. I haven't really had the chance for them to find sets on their own aside from maybe one or two times. So, like, I don't know their body language yet. I'm just watching them. I'm learning them right now, too. I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do? Just smoking a cigarette, just watching them. Well, they end up standing on top of a deadfall that's like 12 vertical feet up this bluff. And they both, like, Moxie and Coro, my Yog Terrier and one of my Decker pups, they both put their nose up. I'm like, oh, they're on something. They're winding something. The wind's coming from where the stables are. I'm like, I don't think it's the horses. They're just, you know, they're just up there with their noses up. I don't see any obvious holes under this deadfall. I'm like, you know what? Why don't I go investigate? I climb up there. I start feeling around. No holes. And then right underneath it, there's some leaf litter. As soon as I stuck my hand in there, it pushed a bunch of the scent from the den out a breather hole. One of them's on the breather hole. My Yog Terrier comes down. She goes right in the main entrance. And they were lighting up. I'm like, oh, well, this is cool. Like, I don't know if it's the one, but they're on something. My luck, it'll be a fucking possum.
Yeah.
And I don't have any of my shit with me. I wasn't really very hopeful. I didn't have a shovel with me. It was all the way back in my truck. And so I'm looking for a stick. I'm opening up the breather hole, like trying to get them in there because my Deckers, like, if they're anything like their mother, they'll draw really, really well. They just hadn't had the opportunity to yet. It's like, we're going to figure this out, whatever it is. And I hear it snarling, and every stick I grab, it's rocky as hell. I can't bust it anymore with my hands. I'm like, well, these dogs are going to bay. If they're worth their salt, they're going to stay here while I run to the truck and grab a shovel.
Mm-hmm.
I just booked it. Ran as fast as I could. The groundskeeper sees my headlamp bouncing. He thought I was on a dirt bike. He's like, what you got, Andrew? I'm like, dogs are in a hole. I need a shovel. He's like, oh, hell yeah. He fucking loves it. And I was like, I can't talk now, Brian. Dogs are in a hole. I got to go.
No.
And so I grab the shovel. I run all the way back there, and I'm running back there, and I hear them still just baying, lighten up. I'm like, yes, this is the best thing ever. I get over there. I start opening up the hole from underneath, and Moxie, my Yog, had turned the raccoon around and was actually bolting it out through the bottom. As I was opening it up from the bottom, that raccoon stuck its head out. And these are my puppies. Like, I don't want it to go wrong. So I just smashed that raccoon with everything I had with the shovel to just pin it there. And I can hear it, like, having a hard time breathing.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, you are not drawing any more blood on my dogs if I have any say in it.
That's
And
right.
it gets nice and tired. And as I pull it out, it had the coon cuff on it. I was like,
Oh,
fuck,
shit.
yeah.
Dude, that's
Good dogs, yeah, woo! Like, singing high praises.
Hell yeah.
The groundskeeper just waited the whole time. He's like, you got it, Andrew. I'm like, yeah.
Hell
Thank
yeah.
fucking God. These dogs are my heroes.
Yeah, because it could have been
Ryan,
anything
the
else.
the groundskeeper didn't care. He's like, I don't give a fuck what happens to that raccoon. I was like, Brian, I know you don't care, but just care a little bit for me, because if it doesn't die and ends up in the HOA,
Yeah.
you might not have me on your property
Yeah,
anymore.
it'd be a fucking problem.
So
Yeah, that's pretty cool though. It's especially the first time they got to go to work. You know?
Yeah.
And they did their fucking job. I mean, shit.
that's about the point I started getting out of my depression.
Oh yeah, dude, that definitely would help.
Yeah.
You know, I used to do a lot of. I'm not going to say a lot of ground work here because it's really rocky. Everything's fucking rocks. But I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of brush piles, but there's a lot of you can tree a lot of coons too. We're going to go. We're going to go tonight. We're actually taking Hound out tonight though. When we get done doing this,
Nice.
Yeah, we're gonna go with a guy that we know. He's got a really really high drive, high power cur dog, Kimmer cur.
Cool.
And that son of a bitch is a tree dog. And so we got a Hound that's never had anything knocked out. She's treeing. She just don't know what she's treeing yet. And we've actually.
It's hard when there's the leaves, man. I quit squirrel hunting. I'm a shitty squirrel hunting until the leaves fall. And because I wasn't doing my dogs any favors.
Yeah, it's hard.
Taking them out.
It fucking sucks because you can't knock anything out to them.
No, it's so frustrating.
Yeah. I mean, you if you knock something out, you pretty much got like. Don't get me wrong. There's times like last year, first hunt we went on was the opening weekend, and I mean, I think we knocked out 28, and we had a phenomenal day, and that was like a 3.5 hour hunt. But at the same time, we had to stop the hunt early. I don't know how many got by us, dude. We were in the middle of squirrel heaven. Like I said, like we knocked out 28 and a couple of coons. So I mean, that was a hell of a morning, and there was leaves thick. So normally we like to, like you said, I like to wait. I like to wait till there's not any leaves and let that dog work. I don't care about knocking anything out. I just want to be able for that dog to see what they're treating, especially if it's a young dog.
I just feel like I haven't been doing my dogs any favors when I do take them out, like individually.
Yeah.
And like, all right, this is the job. We're gonna try to tree some squirrels, and I go to spots where I know there's a lot of squirrels, and I lose them. I'm like, "What? You're doing great, dog.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know you love this right now, but wait till one fucking drops to you. You're really gonna like it then."
Oh hell yeah! No doubt at all. So have you got to run them on? How many hogs did y'all get on the other night? And did you put your dogs on them?
So we didn't get started till way later than we wanted to.
Yeah.
We were going out the Monday right after the trial, and we were like, Dee did so much to get that trial to happen. And so, by the time we finally left Dee's house, we drove up to Boogie's house, got everything loaded up. It was already like 75 degrees out, and it was hot. It was real hot down there in Texas. So we were running for a while in the heat of the day. And I'm pretty sure Dee said a couple prayers, being like, man, he told me he said a couple prayers. He said, God, I don't care if I get skunked the next 10 times I come out. You can't let these people who are staying here from out of state get skunked.
I know the feeling. Gosh, I know that feeling. Yes.
I mean, we're driving side by sides through this ranch, and I'm like, we were rotating seats because we had a lot of people. And at one point I was on the back of the side by side, and the wind was just coming just right. It was blowing all the grass seed and dirt in my face. And I was tired from the trial, so my eyes are closing by the time I'm sitting next to Dee in the side by side. I think I took a bit of a nap driving through there.
Just lay your head
Finally,
on
we get
shoulders.
to this spot. I might have. There might be a little drool on his t-shirt. Who knows? Whatever.
They don't give a shit.
And, no. And so we get to this spot, and one of the dogs kind of perked its head up, and they all went down there into the creek bed. Some people said it was really thick, but I didn't think it was thick. It's different geography, different parts of the country,
Yeah.
So we ended up driving around to a easier spot to get into the creek bottom. We walked up the creek to where the dogs were all baying the hog, and they released the catch dog, and I ran up to it. I said, I want to grab it. This is what I want to do. I want to grab it. I know they rock, paper, scissors on who's stabbing it. And, this cute little girl, Eliza, her husband bought one of the pups from me. They're up in Minnesota. And he's always saying, he's like, she's more of a beast than I am. Like, she's a cold-blood killer. But she don't look like it.
Yeah.
So she won rock, paper, scissors to poke the hog. So I run up there, I grab it, I flop it on its side, and Dee's like, you got to poke it right there, and she does it. And It was all good. Everyone had a good time. And, yeah, ended up just dragging it out. And I'm an adventurous eater. I've never had wild hog, except for the stuff. I think you guys had some in the sausage you gave me last time you were up here, Nathan.
I think so. So.
But I was like, oh, this is cool. we're gonna pull the back straps and quarters off of this. One of my employees, this is kind of off subject, going from the hunting story. It wasn't. One of my employees has fibromyalgia, and he might have a little bit of. He's special. Like, he's very quirky. He is very intelligent when it comes to diet, and that he was forced to be that way because of his stomach issues, and he can only eat certain foods if he wants to live his life.
Yeah.
And he can't eat anything that's grain fed or corn fed. And when I hired him, I kind of took a chance with him because he had Buddhist beliefs and didn't believe in killing. Well, happy to say he wants to go deer hunting this fall. He's learned that there's a reason for management and has accepted it with his spiritual self or whatever.
That's cool.
But I saved the rear quarters for him because he had said, we had a job down in southern Missouri, and the homeowners warned us that there were some hogs around there. And so we brought our rifles. We had permission to do whatever we wanted down there. We were there for a whole week. They let us stay there. It was awesome. And he's like, I want hogs so bad. I didn't know there was wild hog down here. He's all getting fired up. He's like, I just want bacon again, because he can't have any of the store-bought shit.
Yeah.
And so when the reality of going hog hunting came true, I was like, I want to bring this kid back some hog meat. Like, it would just make his day. So I got both rear quarters for him to do whatever he wants with, and he doesn't know it yet, but I'm sure he's going to be excited. Are we live right now?
Yeah. No, I was just telling Nate, I was looking at him, I was just smiling at him. You already know. The next thing is you just bring his ass with you.
Oh yeah.
And then we'll go kill a hog with him. He could go.
Oh man.
He could take his, you know what I'm saying? It's management. We got the management purpose.
Yeah.
You know,
sounds like a work trip.
Yeah, it's definitely a tax write-off. We need a hand. They're out of control. And hey,
listen, one thing I don't hesitate with my guys is learning opportunities. So if we can spin it, I'm sold.
Yeah.
Don't even have to spin it.
Hey, you might get a referral. You met my buddy Oliver Fleming. He knows a bunch of the people with hog problems. So
yeah,
man, that was the craziest thing.
Yeah, Nate was telling me about that.
About that.
No, Nate. All he said, he's like, "Well, Oliver and Andrew met." I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
Yeah, but we were doing. I think we were setting that trap. The pig rig.
I think we set the trap. I was like, but it was so crazy. I was like, I got to tell Dad before I forget.
It was like fucking 90 degrees, and we had to drive. It was a 2.5, 3 hour drive down there. We had to pull one trap, load it up. Everything was like welded into mud. Go set another property out and all that. So I didn't ask anything else. So I don't know the story on it. So throw that on there for us right quick.
So this log cabin job I was just talking about, for a very high-end client, we all cherish our good veterinarians, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
My veterinarian is retiring this December, and this log cabin home is the veterinarian that's taking over his practice, her family vacation home.
Okay.
And so like, it was very important that we did everything right and to the T, and ended up hiring a log cabin specialist to come on site with us and help teach my guys hands-on how to do the stuff the right way. And so we're down there for the week. You know, they opened their doors for us, and I think it was Wednesday. I'm at the top of a 40-foot ladder working on this gable end, and I see a white truck pull up with a side-by-side. I'm like, who the hell is that? That's not the owner. Like, I'm going to climb down and go introduce myself. I walk over there and starts talking USDA and hog trapping program. And like, oh, that sounds really cool. It's like, I'm in wildlife control too. Like, I'm all about making friends and, you know, learning about different industries. I said, I don't want to offend you or, you know, be too much in your business, but I'd love to, drive around and see what it is you're looking for, and what it's like doing your thing. And he was interested in what I was doing, and we drive around a little bit and talking to hogs and this and that. And I bring up my dogs and, mention how they fade hogs and this and that. And he's like, oh, I got a buddy who does that. Oh, no shit. It's like, as I'm showing him my dogs, this and that, he says, yeah, my buddy's name is Nathan Wright. And Nathan Wright? He says, yeah. I go, he just came up to my house last fall, pick up one of these dogs' litter mates.
Yeah.
He goes, you got to be kidding me. I was like, he stayed at your house? He's like, yep. I'm like, no freaking way.
It's
Like, I
wild.
was supposed to go squirrel hunting with him a couple weeks ago. He's like, you were in that group chat? No way.
Yeah, it was like the stars aligned, because I was like,
That's pretty
man,
wild.
they've came like so close, and like y'all have been so affiliated, and I've told both of y'all so much. I was like, man, you'd really like this other guy for like the same reasons you're talking about. And then when Oliver sent me that, I was like, that's so awesome. That's so awesome.
It's
But
so
it was
weird.
like the last place you would think you
Yeah.
would meet somebody.
It was
It's
destined
two
to
and
happen.
a half hours outside of my regular service area.
Yeah.
You lose cell phone reception
Oh,
like 40 minutes before you even get to the property.
no
Yeah.
shit.
It is out there.
You live in
like-
St. Louis, and he lives in Farmington. So I don't.
Oh yeah.
So Farmington's
yeah.
what, 40 minutes south of you?
I want to say closer to an hour.
Yeah,
Yeah. But
I
still,
knew it
it's,
was a
close
good
to an
drive.
hour.
it's still
Yeah.
pretty wild.
Yeah.
The way all that worked. Hey, I tell you, you talking about something crazy like that. Remember when Justin was talking about Dave, Hippie Dave the roofer?
Yeah. Yeah. Justin Hensley.
Yeah, Justin Hensley. Okay, we're this is
Because he got mad there for a little bit.
this is the craziest shit ever. All right, Justin Hensley used to come to the terrier trial. I don't know if he still comes or not now. I hadn't seen him in a long time. Lives in Michigan, right?
Was it? He had Adolf.
Yeah, had a dog named Adolf. Well, I had a roofer. Well, I say I'm Uncle Frank. Well, he was everybody's roofer. We all worked together. He done a lot of roofing for us, and we called him Hippie Dave. Dave, like you can just imagine, like he's just everything's like, yeah, man, right on.
He wore a
man.
fedora.
Yeah, he wore a fucking fedora with cut off blue jeans and no shirt
Yeah.
and long socks. He's fucking.
Oh my god.
Okay, anyway, like he had every kind of medication you could possibly get that wasn't his. It's awesome. Okay, so we're sitting there talking about something, and was it Justin talking about Dave?
Yeah. He's talking about
No, it
Dave
was
and his brother.
No, it was his nephew. It was his nephew. We were at the job working, and he was like, "Yeah, I was talking to this guy up there in Michigan. He had them little black and tan dogs." He said, and I told him I knew you, and he told me I was a damn liar. I was like, "Who is it?" He said, "Some guy named Justin Hensley." I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, we went up there for vacation, and we were all sitting around somebody's house, and he knew some girl that they all knew, and it was the wildest shit you ever seen. Like they were about got in a damn fist fight over this shit." And then I'll go to the terrier trials. I forgot all about this, right?
Yeah.
I hadn't thought nothing about it. So I'm talking to Justin on. He gets out. He's like, "Hey, do you know this line, son of a bitch?" I was like, "I don't know what you're talking about, Justin." He was like, "Yeah." He starts telling me. I was like, "I don't know, man. I don't know what you're talking about." He's like, "Well, he said he knew you. He's in Alabama." I was like, "Bro, I don't know." And then we got to talking. I said, "Wait a minute. Is he a roofer?" He had told me he's a roofer. I said, "Wait a minute. He's a roofer?" He was like, "Yeah." And I got to talking. I was
Then he
like,
told us the story of when his nephew beat him up.
"Yeah." He said they got drunk, beat him up with a pipe, and then he shot his nephew or some shit. And
Yeah.
he found him dead. Or
Oh
I was
my
like, it was
God.
fucking wild. I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh yeah, that's my roofer. Yeah, that's him."
Because we saw Hippie Dave one time at Home Depot. We hadn't seen him in like 6 or 8 months, and he's in a cast, and he's like dragging his leg. He's
Yeah.
like,
What
Dave,
happened?
he had like black eyes. He's like, my little bastard ass nephew. He wanted some. He's like, he beat the hell out of me. He said, but I got that stick back from him. He said, and I whooped his ass. I was
Crazy
like, what's
as
wrong with
shit.
y'all?
So you're talking about from Alabama.
And he's like 40 something years old when he did that, maybe older.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck. It's ridiculous.
Rough.
There's shit that
He's like,
won't
my
live on
back's
Dave.
broke.
Yeah, there's shit that won't live on Dave. But now it went from see, now we're on a whole wild ass subject, but it still relates to dogs. Okay. It was about the Jags.
Yep.
So that just goes to show you that what these dogs can do. The power of having dogs. I was subpar famous to these other guys, and they were fucking mad about it and thought they was lying because they knew the great JoJo over here. And I was like, dude, I don't know what you're even talking about. And then you run into shit like with you and Oliver, and I mean, y'all are what? How far did they live from us? 8 hours?
Yeah.
So
I want to say it's 8 hours.
Y'all anywhere 7 to 8, 9 hours away from us, and then you two guys don't know each other. Then y'all are in the same fucking job in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Both not where y'all live.
Yeah, and
both the drive away.
So if you're 2.5 hours away from your area, he's probably 2 hours away from his.
I think he said it was a new property. I think Oliver said that was a new landowner. So
he'd been working with him for a while.
Okay, that was one of the old ones. I think he had gotten a new one that week. I might be getting it confused.
I don't know.
It was like y'all was destined to meet because, like I said, we were supposed to go on that camping trip and go squirrel hunting and stuff, and then ended up having to cancel it, and then y'all still ended up meeting. So I was like, well, that's good. I'm glad because y'all can link up and go hunting and stuff.
Well, I mean, he's with the USDA on the hog hunting stuff and the removal, and you do the other side of it. I mean, I know the USDA guys, they don't mind if you jump in the truck and go with them. We got an old USDA guy that hangs out with us a little bit.
Yeah.
I can't say his name. He's an undercover game warden too, I think. He says he's not, but I don't know. I keep asking him. He just gets mad every time. I'm like, "Are you undercover game warden?" He's like, "Fuck no, I'm not." He's like, "Everybody's gonna think I'm an undercover game warden." I'm like, "Okay,
all right then."
Yeah, I can't like say his name, but his initials is Jesse's his first initial. He's fucking awesome, and it's that's a crazy story.
Yeah,
like he comes into the shop down here. He literally lived in the Midwest, and because I really can't indulge too much about it because of his job and stuff for real, but like he hunts and stuff with us. He had no experience with the hogs. He listened to the podcast and has been listening to it for a while, and he just kept on thinking. He was like, "Dude, I want to hog hunt. I want to hog hunt."
Yeah,
and he did like coyote decoying and stuff like that with dogs. He's run lion dogs and bear dogs and all that stuff. So he fucking sold all his shit, and he lives like an hour from here now.
Yeah. He said he got on the government website where you find your job application and find where there's openings. He said, I saw Bankhead National Forest. He said, and that's close. So
it's close enough.
Good.
So like I said, it was pretty crazy. He was like, because I asked him, I was like, well, what brings you to this part of the country? He said, oh, you guys. I was like, okay, for real. He was like, no, for real. I was like, that's a little weird. And he hunts with us all the time. Yeah. Like he's turned out to be fucking super, super good guy. And it's very helpful, and it's very knowledgeable as well. He likes running dogs, and it's one of those things. It's kind of like what you were saying. He's wanting to get him a couple of dogs to take care of problem hogs that can't really trap. Yeah. And it makes his job better.
It comes back to, exactly what I was saying earlier. Different tool for every job. Sometimes you need that specialty tool.
That's right. And the places where he's at, there's that, because he asked me, he told me when we first talked, I was like, well, you're not catching many, are you? He's like, no, man, these things are crazy. I said, well, a lot of them were trapped and put up there. And I know this for a fact. I know some of the guys that were dropping them. And I said, so they're not going to mess with mini traps at all. A lot of those hogs are trap shy. They're educated. And so, if you catch the biggest part of the sounder, and you got a couple of older hogs that's out there, you put them bulldogs or them bird bulls or the Airedale and cross with a bull terrier, cross with a jag, you'll bust their ass like that.
Yes.
No bait needed.
And I'll say one thing about him is for no previous hog trapping experience, I think he's caught nearly
150.
Yeah. In like 3 months.
He done good.
And I mean, in one of the hardest places to trap hogs. I think arguably.
Well, it's
like
it's hard country.
Yeah.
It's tough country.
Well, he's having to pack in a lot of his pig brigs and stuff too.
A lot of stuff there. But it's
is there a lot of programs available or any at all for like hog trapping, like how to do it better, like people putting on presentations and stuff like that?
The extension office does like once a year typically.
Yeah.
I think they do a joint thing with the soil water conservation office.
So what we've started doing, and it's almost like you were talking about a while ago. You want us to talk about something, but you kind of like don't,
Yeah.
Our landowners, I give them the option. I'm like, okay, you can hire us to trap this property for a month, okay? Or we can come set the traps and teach you how to do this shit for 2 weeks, and then you can do this from now on, and you don't have to have us. I mean, don't get me wrong. I still need my job, but a lot of these properties are so far off. It's almost not feasible for them to be able to afford it.
Yeah.
If yourself coming from doing this business, okay, you tell me this. If you have to drive 3 hours each direction and you're going to spend a full, say 6 hours actual labor there.
Oh, it's not even a matter of labor anymore. It's what else it's taken me away from profiting.
Okay. So now you got 12 hours per day.
Yeah.
12 hours per day just to get there and to do that job.
Yeah.
And so if doing the hog removal, if it's a really, really dense population, well, listen to that. I sound like I know what I'm talking about. If it's a dense population, I might have to be there for 6 months or a year. That's going to run the numbers up. So if I do it to where I'm like, okay, guys, here's what we'll do. Basically, I'm teaching you how to do this, and I'll be a consultant. Like you said, because there's not very many seminars, and nobody's putting on many seminars on actually how to do this.
Yeah.
It's something that needs to be done. I really feel, especially in the Southeast.
It's hard. I mean, like I was saying earlier, every area has different geography and different, I don't know if different baits are preferred in different areas, but a different but similar situation that I deal with up here that I think can kind of tie into this somehow is, we have rabies vectors inside people's living spaces, bats, for example. It's different in every county how the animal control handles that. And you have so many different hands in that pot when a rabies vector is inside of a home. You have the health department, you have animal control. Animal control isn't capturing bats. Then you have private wildlife control companies. Then you have the client, and then you have the client doctor. And then you have Department of Conservation and the state bat ecologist. The way I see it is like, I want to get all these people in a room so we can have a little powwow and talk about how to streamline this so it's more effective for the quote unquote victims when there's a bat inside of a house.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that would be similar for you guys down there. It'd be like, well, we have these people and these people and these people in this different area, and this is what we find are working over here, what's working over there, and how to gather all that information and data and then present it in a way and have qualified candidates for trapping themselves after a little bit of consultation.
Yeah. And it's like
a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. And it's not just,
go ahead.
The thing I struggle with now is like, work isn't just labor. Like, I love carrying ladders. Give me a 40-foot ladder, I'll move it wherever it needs to go.
Yeah.
The shit I have to do now is like organizing meetings and talking to people, and man, I just want to be a laborer again.
Yes.
My head hurts.
Yes, exactly. I know exactly what you're talking about because I'm the same way. And once we started doing this, that's what I told Nate. I was like, I'll do all the work, the grunt work. I don't need to think. All I need to do is function.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we can't just do that. But But like you said, if we could get it to where, and we can do these things if you get the right people in the right places to interact. One issue I've seen is you have a lot of the USDA guys. They do not want to interact with individuals. You know, they're like, well, you guys coming here and y'all doing this and that, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, you guys are coming in here sliding around and you'll go put a trap up and you bait it one time and you never come back. I said, it's a tit for tat. But if we would all actually work together and, like you said, get the data and say, okay, guys, here in central Alabama, where we're at, this is what works. I've got 20 years experience and we do pretty good on the trapping side. And then like where David Ellis lives, y'all over in Mississippi, he'd say, well, this is what works better over here. Because he's got all those years experience and he's a private guy. And I mean, he knocks out a bunch of damn hogs. And then you have somebody Tennessee. It wouldn't have to be, you could start out by state, you know, but like you said, there's so many different geographical differences per state. It's really tough because you go from the swamps to the mountains where we're at. Yeah. And everything in between.
Sounds so nice.
It's not bad.
The geography, like
it is. It's not bad. You'd love it.
Yeah, and I mean that's aside from you, Nathan, all the dogs, all the fun stuff that would go down there. Like, I think this is why Nathan and I get along, and Oliver and I hit it off right off the bat. Like a little bit of a nerd. Like I like looking at the trees, the mushrooms, and all that stuff too. And every time I go somewhere else, I'm like, wow, look at all these different trees and brush and flowers that are out here.
Yeah.
Soaking it up.
I love that.
There's nothing wrong. I mean, I'm one of those guys that Jacob Zachary's the first one that ever caught me. Like just, I'm a closet nerd. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's what Jacob was like. He asked Nathan, he's like, well, how much of that shit is your dad reading off the internet? Nathan was like, what do you mean? He was like, I didn't think he was reading much of it. Nathan's like, no, he's not reading shit. That's stuff he knows. But it's like, it's very hard to interact with a lot of people my age. You know, you get a lot of guys from Gen X that are in their 50s now. Back then, if you were a nerd, you got beat up.
Yeah.
So it wasn't cool. But guess what? Being a dumbass ain't cool either. You know, so it's like,
absolutely.
So I love being around y'all guys and we get, cause I learned, I absorb this shit like a sponge. I've learned so much about psilocybin and mycelium in the past couple of years. It's like, I went to college too, you know?
Yeah.
I'm still fucking college, but
it sounds like a bit of a side quest there.
It's all right. There's nothing wrong with it, you know. But what I'm saying is like, there's so many things out there that other than just running the dogs, so many things that can go with it. And of course, there's running the dogs. Those dogs have carried me down paths that just like, holy shit, it'd blow your mind. It's kept me from damn losing my mind. They've kept me from going to prison. They've kept me from shooting people or choking them out or running them over with a car or something. Thank God for these dogs is all I can say.
Yeah.
They help me keep my sanity. And being able to interact with like-minded people, there's nothing better. Absolutely.
Changed my life.
Yep. So I think that you need to pack your shit up and come on see us whenever you get the chance.
Let's talk about it after deer hunting.
Yeah. We don't even do no deer hunting, man. Deer hunting.
Hey, get your outer state license. You could stay down here and you could shoot a deer every day.
Every day.
Every day.
That's our legal limit.
You have 3 bucks. You can shoot a buck and a doe until you run out of bucks. And then you can shoot just one doe a day.
For how many days? From October the 15th till February the 1st.
Yes.
Or the 10th.
Yeah, the 10th.
So one of the things that was hard for me to accept is I didn't think I'd make it past 30 years old, and here I am, 34 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be real into riding BMX. I rode, kind of at a professional level. I'd get like T-shirts and bike parts and stuff like that. And my passion for dogs really took over. And people are like, well, what about your BMX bike? Well, I rode with so many people. I'd be riding with people who were 55 years old and riding better than I was. And, that kind of was inspiring. It's like, man, I'm over 30 years old now. Like, I have the rest of my life to do all this other wild shit. This is where my heart is at right now. This is what keeps me moving. This is what keeps me motivated. And I will come down there.
Yeah.
We got a lot of years ahead of us. Not that I take it for granted either, because every day is a blessing.
It is. Once you get past a certain age, your mid 40s, and it's like you go to sleep and wake up every 30 minutes. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
It goes really, really fast, and it gets to the point to where I can't do it fast enough.
Yeah, days seem like they're shorter.
Yeah.
I lost a lot of friends, and the time that I like to think of it as like a fraction. Your perspective of one day at 2 months old, 1/60 is a big fraction compared to whatever 365 days in a year is times 30. One day is a lot smaller than that.
Yes.
And it's crazy. Life's wild.
It is very, very wild. Life is a garden. Can you dig it?
Hell yeah. I love digging.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. Yeah. So
you said you did a little bit of digging back in the day to your terriers?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've snatched a few coons out of the damn rocks.
Or coyotes. Or
Coyotes. I did.
Foxes.
I was doing a presentation at a some kind of canine special banquet. And so I went outside. We were at the fairgrounds, and somebody's like, hey, there's a coyote or something out there. And Lisa looked, she was like, go see what it is. So I went out there, and I was like, no, they said it was fox. I was like, no, that's coyotes. I said, they're about half grown. And I was sitting there, and I couldn't take it any longer. I had these little dogs named Dutch and Drago, the ones I talked about that left and stayed gone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they were about a year and a half old at this time. And they were prime. Like these were some real serious fucking dogs, like serious. They were probably the two most intense series that I've had. And they were both of them were off of laser. They were bad. They were some bad some bitches. I put it this way. Anyway, so I go outside and I see those coyotes, and I was like, I wonder if they can catch them before they hit the woods. Now, keep in mind, we're at the fairgrounds, and we've got this one building. It's fucking packed. And somebody goes inside and says, hey, this dude's out here catching coyotes with his dogs in the fucking parking lot. So what they had done there, right behind, there was a big field, and there's like this big ravine. They had broke up an old, I guess it was the parking area or whatever, a bunch of big concrete rebar. And they just dumped all the chunks off of them. Coyotes had denned under there. And then there was another one they had denned. There was an old flatbed off of a truck, like a big utility truck. Yeah. And it was out there in the corner. And I probably shouldn't have done it, but I let him go. And so there was a video for a little while of me holding the back legs of Dutch. And when I pulled him out, I was holding him up over my head, and there was a coyote touching the ground, and Dutch was attached to it. And the coyote was dead. He throated that motherfucker in the hole. And when we drug him out, he was limp. And that kind of like put the damn hammer to the chisel in stone right then. And I had Lily with me. I took my bulldog. We go down there and we catch catch an adult coyote. I think we wound up killing 3 or 4 that day. And then we killed however many was there, we wound up killing. And then we went back in, and I won the Southeast Division for the the bite work section of it, the K9 bite work. And then also got Lily got her certifications and stuff, her CGC testing certificates and all that stuff on the same day. And that dude was like, because I had a handle on that dog. It's like she had a serious handle. Like you were talking about, you could just point and that's all it took. I wish I still had dogs like that, but unfortunately, I got a bunch of cur dogs now, and some of them, they don't listen that good. But they hunt.
Days are getting shorter and less time to devote to those dogs when you have more dogs.
It gets tough. Like right before we started this, I had 2 pups out in the pen, and I said, well, let's just see what they do. And of course, they kicked off fucking fantastic too. I was out there hooping, good dogs. And literally, this was their first time with any interaction. I looked at that little male and I said, all right, caught, back up, get out of it. He let go and just backed up a little bit. And I was like, holy shit, that's what it's about.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. But I got 10 other ones that won't do shit. So, but old Tough was giving them hell today though, boys. So, but man. Yeah, after deer season gets over here, it'll be about February 10th, February 15th. From then till turkey season starts, that's our best time to run dogs on hogs.
All right.
So you try to get in. Roy Fairby's going to be here right before Uncle Earl's.
Be like March 18th.
Yeah, I think he's coming in middle of March. So like I said, we got about a little over a month there.
You'd love to go to Uncle Earl's. You would have a blast there, Andrew.
We'll try
would.
to figure some shit out and make this all work. We'll have one big giant fucking slam. Y'all can stay right there at the house.
Because I think Nick Fox is going to come.
Yeah, Nick's coming too.
I don't know if he's going to come to the house, but I know he's going to go to Uncle Earl's.
Well,
but if we could get him to swing by and ride with us, I mean, that'd be a terrier trial basically there. There'd be a lot of dogs there.
Yeah. Did Nick tell you? Probably not. I don't know.
I hadn't talked to him. He'll be there next weekend at Hickory Crossings. We're going to hang out.
Ask him about the bus.
All right.
There's some details I can't share, but we had we were keeling over in pain, laughing so hard about how circumstances and pieces are falling together about getting this bus.
Oh yeah.
And
I'm
for side quests. So it'll be a wild time.
I'm gonna talk to him next weekend. Last year at Hickory Crossings, we didn't get to go in November because Nathan got married.
Mm-hmm.
And Nick, he showed up and he won all kinds of stuff. And that's what I told him. I was messing with Cody Odom. I was like, hey, I'm bringing all kinds of Jags and Terriers and shit. Nick was like, Joey, come, dude, no. I was like, what? He's like, come on, man, let me win something. I was like, dude, I'm just fucking with Cody. Calm down. I'm like, my dogs ain't even that good. But then I got to looking back on it. I was like, man, we did win a lot of stuff with them little shits. They did pretty good. So they weren't bad dogs, but they're rough.
I love that dude, Nick. I love him.
He's
man,
awesome.
He gets so butthurt in competitions, man. Like he wins a puppy in a raffle every time, and his heart's so big. He ends up giving it to a kid who wanted to handle his dogs in the trials. He's got such a huge heart, man. He's just awesome dude.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
When my truck broke down, I still haven't got it back from the dealership. 2023 Toyota Tundra. The engine blew up. I guess they recalled 100,000 of those miles. I was hunting with him. He had to leave early to go to work or try to get some sleep before going to work. I'm driving back to St. Louis from like northeast of Fort Wayne in Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
And my truck breaks down and just leaves me stranded. It's 90 degrees. I'm on the side of the road, like got 3 dogs with me. I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do? He drives 4 hours out of his way to come pick me up and let me crash at his house. Like,
hell yeah.
That dude is through and through a solid dude. And, touch on what we were talking about earlier, like the people we meet through dogs, like forever grateful for it. It's just awesome.
Yep. No doubt. Well, man,
but my birthday's in February, and right now, the
February.
limited amount of thought I can put into planning that far ahead, there's nothing I would love more than to come down there and spend a long weekend with y'all.
Oh yeah, like I said, it's open invitation, man, for real.
Yeah,
There's
we
no
have a good
doubt.
time.
Well, that'll work, my man. We're going to go. Where are we going to? Lake Gunnersville. We got a couple.
No, it changed.
Oh,
we're
changed.
gonna go to Smith Lake instead of
Okay,
Gunnersville.
so we ain't got near as far. We got probably 45 minutes,
Yeah,
to an hour drive.
Instead
We
two
were
and a
going to be
half.
going about
Two and a half.
Yeah. So we're fixing to go try to knock some coons out to this damn hound dog and see what she'll do. And maybe we'll get some good footage and video of all that shit. So, but man, it's good catching up with you and getting to talk to you. It's fucking. I mean, yeah. I don't get to talk to anybody anymore hardly because used to we'd all catch up at the trials. But I guess I'm just gonna have to start answering that phone or using that phone a little more.
Yeah.
Start staying in touch with everybody, man. But like I said, it's an open invitation.
You guys are always welcome up here in St. Louis too. I got a couple guest beds. I got a couch.
Hell yeah.
Like I said, I can't promise we'll kill stuff, but we're always welcome to. We got a couple of different properties. We can walk the dogs through the woods.
I've killed a bunch of shit in my life. I'm good. As long as we can just go walk dogs, that's all the fuck I'm worried. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Nathan, you would probably love this. I figured out my favorite way of finding lion's mane mushrooms now is just cruising my boat up and down the river during deer season. I'll tag out. I'll go, or maybe I'll have another tag left and I'll want to go on a different. I like hunting the river. I'll take my boat out there and play the wind. And so I'm cruising up and down these river banks. And a lot of the times they look like grocery bags just sitting on the trees. Pull up closer and it's a big old lion's mane. You guys are always welcome up here anytime.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
We found one last week.
Yeah.
They're in the deer track.
Yep.
Running a deer track.
Nice.
I went by, I was like, damn, Nate, they put spray foam in that tree. Nate was like, Dad, that's damn lion's mane. I was like, I was like, don't even. He was like, you better not do that. I was like, okay, I'm just calm down. Fuck, it's okay.
I've been talking about how much I've been wanting to find a lion's mane all year and I ain't found one yet. And it's the first one this year.
Yeah. I think, and was it last year or year before last?
Year before last.
Monster.
Yeah, we found one that was like 4 or 5 pounds.
Yeah, it was huge.
Which, Andrew, you found one time that was like the size of a basketball.
It ended up being over 20 pounds.
No, God almighty.
It was so cool. I was just like creeping through the woods, deer hunting. And like, I like to walk real slow and quiet, pause and look around, see if I see any movement. And I got into this bottom and actually seen a buck over there. By the time I lifted my rifle, he was running. It was pretty thick. I didn't have a shot on it. So I just, tried to creep up on him. And then I see this lion's mane like 30 feet. Well, it was probably 24 feet up in this big old silver maple tree, like couldn't wrap your hands around. It was old maple tree. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, wow, that thing's huge. This is so cool. I got to get it. And it had like the perfect knobs and knurls on it. Like there were no branches on this thing's trunk for the first 30 feet. It was just huge, but it had these knobs that hung out on it. That was just perfect for me to climb up. And I left my backpack, my rifle on the ground, climbed up there and just cut it off the tree, dropped it onto my backpack. I didn't have any extra room in my backpack. That thing filled the whole thing.
No
it was
shit.
awesome.
That's pretty wild there. That damn big. Which I know they get big, but like I said, where we live, you don't see them.
That's the biggest one I've ever seen.
Yeah,
anybody
It
find.
was huge.
Yeah, that's
huge.
Pretty wild. Well, all right, my brother. Well, like I said, man, thank you for jumping on here and talking shit with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
And if anybody has any questions, go ahead and call you. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll do a little plug. If people are interested in wildlife control, the National Wildlife Control Operators Association, or NWCOA, NWCOA, is a good place to get started. I'll be doing a presentation. They're doing a wildlife expo in Florida the end of January this year. Actually, that might line up if I go down there and stop at your guys' place on the way back.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I'll be presenting there. They do like a 3-day event with all different types of presentations on business and different animals and shit like that. But yeah, that is changed my life.
That'll work. That's for sure. And like I said, I know
appreciate y'all.
Hey, we get people all the time ask us, questions after we get done with the podcast, so that's why I was asking that, if somebody has questions or wants to get in contact with you, just what's the best way for them to get in touch with you, through social media or something?
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Andrew J. Stadnik. Send me an email. I'm horrible at email, but I'll probably be more concise with a response.
Yeah.
It'll just take me weeks to get to you. It's
Yep.
andrewjstadnik@gmail.com. But yeah, social media, I think that's the age we live in now. Look me up.
I'll have all that linked down below in the description.
Yep.
Cool.
All right, buddy. Well, man, we'll see you, and we'll definitely see you after deer season.
Hell yeah.
All right, buddy. Well,
have a good night tonight. Good luck.
All right,
Thank
brother.
you.
Thanks,
See you,
man.
Andrew.
We'll see you, buddy.
Later, guys.
All right,
have fun.
bye. All right, man. That was a man himself. Dude, he's so cool. Oh, Andrew. It was wild. Like the first time I ever met him, I was like, this dude is awesome.
Yeah.
Like, he was out there. He had overalls, no shirt on, fucking mustache, looked like Sam Elliott out there.
He's got a bunch of American traditional tattoos.
Yeah, he's a dog. He's a big dog. So, but that whole little crew right there that runs together out there at the terrier tribes, you got to watch them. They talked me into putting on some damn American flag silkies. I think they was panties, and they lied to me because them some bitches was supposed to be I wear a 2X, and them motherfuckers was an X small. I was tucking, rolling, duct taping shit in place, and they thought I wouldn't bring my big ass out there in them, but I sure did in some 18-inch snake boots and bayed them dogs. And Mr. Chad Reynolds was out there in a fucking T-Rex costume. Boy, we had a good time. God, it's such a good time out there. But we got to keep it about the terriers too. When it's the terrier trials, that y'all got to stop letting all them bird dogs and shit come out there. Can't be doing that. Bad name on the terriers, y'all. So until the next time, we will see y'all some other time. We out.
Thank you. Hope y'all enjoyed that episode. Stay tuned for our new episodes every Monday and Wednesday. For questions, advertising, or just to chat, email DixieDoggers01@gmail.com.